We've all been annoyed with support desks at one point or another, but some people take it a bit too far and start swearing. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can protect your support staff or even your customer just in case you have a rogue member of staff. In today's video, ChatGPT is going to be my member of staff. So let's start by creating the API and then I'll show you how to protect yourselves from the swearing. So I have a list here of swear words and at the bottom here I have a terminal window open. So let's start by running npm init-y just to initialize a new npm project. That should create a package.json file for us. And then from here, we're going to install a few libraries. So npm I, we're going to have OpenAI, Express, Body Parser, and also .env. So once they've installed, we should see them inside of here. And I'm just going to create a new file in here called .env. And inside of there, I'm going to put my OpenAI API key. So let's now create an index.js file. And this is where we're going to create our API. So let's start by importing some libraries. So const OpenAI is going to be equal to require OpenAI. Const express is going to be equal to require express. Const body parser is require body parser. And then we're going to import our .env file. So we say require.env.config. And this .config will just tell it to look in the root for the .env file. If we have the .env file in a different location, then we can add that into our config here. Okay, so now let's tell it which port we want to use. So const port is going to be equal to process.env.port. If that doesn't exist, then we're going to use port 3000. And now we're going to initialize our application. So const app is equal to express. And then we want to start telling it to use some middleware. So app.use bodyparser.json. And now that we've initialized the application, we can start initializing OpenAI. So to do this, we say const OpenAI is equal to new OpenAI. And that's going to take in an API key. And that's going to be from our API key we stored in our env file. So from here, I'm going to create a single endpoint. So we're going to say app.post. And this is just going to be called message. So the path is message. And that's going to be an asynchronous request. And that's going to take in a request and return a response. And then our const response is going to be equal to openai.chat.completions.create. And inside here, we need to specify a model. That model is going to be equal to GPT-4. And then we need to tell it which messages to use. So we have a messages key here, and that's going to be an array. And the array will take in an object and we'll have role of user. So this is the content coming from the user. And then the content of that message will be from the request.body.message. And then we can close that array off, close off this response. So once we get a response back, we can send it to the customer. So we can say res.send, and then we'll have an object here called message. And that message will be the response dot choices. And we're going to take the first option inside of that because it actually returns an array. And then dot message dot content. And that's the endpoint actually created. So from there, we just need to start the application. To do that, we say app.listen, and then we're just going to console log out that the server is actually running. Okay, so now we've got the communication in place. Let's create a function that's going to protect us from the swears. So to do this, first of all, we need to import fs. This is so we can read information from this swears.json file. Then underneath the body parser here, we're going to create a new function. So const read swears from file. And that's going to take in a path. And then I'm going to say const data is equal to fs.readFileSync. And then the path that we have here. Then what we want to do is return the json.parse on the data, and that should give us back the data from the file. So if I was to say console.log read from swear files, swears.json, and we start this application, so node dot, we should get a list of the swears there. We also see that the application is listening on port 3000. Let's close that down, and we're going to delete this console log here. So now we're going to create a new constant called swears, and that's going to be equal to the read swears from file, and then the file inside, and then a new function called replace swears, and that's going to take in the message. And now we're going to create a regex. So const regex is equal to new regular expression. And I'm just going to paste this in here. So what we're doing here is we're checking if it begins and ends with a space and if that swear word exists. And we're doing that globally, and we're going to loop through it. So we don't just stop at the first one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to return message dot replace, and then we want the regex. And what we're going to do here is we're going to match the actual string length. So I'm going to say match, and then we're going to repeat this asterisk for the length of the match. Let me just get rid of that there. And that should return all the swears. So let's run a test string. So here's my test string. I'm so darned pissed about this bloody heck of a situation. I'm just going to console log that out. So we run node dot. Let me just replace that. Run node dot again. And here we can see we've asterisked those words out. So to use that inside of this endpoint, what we can do is we can say that the message is going to be equal to replace swears request.body.message, and then we can replace this content here with message. Click save. What we'll do, we'll actually just console log out message up here as well. So I'm just going to restart Node. I'm going to open Postman, and we can give this a test. So with Postman open, let's hit send. So I've just said, hello, can you help me? It goes, of course I can help. What do you need assistance with? And we can see here that it's console logged, how can you help me? And then if we put the string in with the swears and click send, we can see that it stripped those out as well. So as we can see, we've got a bit of a response back from OpenAI that contains some words that we may not want to see. So inside the res.message here, we can actually wrap this replace swears around this response.choices. Click save, restart the application. And let's hit send again on that and see if we get any asterisks coming through from here. So we don't. So let's ask ChatGPT to provide us with a list of words. So as we can see here, we can see we've got a few asterisks placed around the place. That's where it's actually replaced the words that we have in our list. So it doesn't just work for the messages that you get sent, it also works for the messages that you send out. If you found this video useful, consider hitting the subscribe button here. If you want to learn more about JavaScript and ChatGPT, check out this video here. Thank you for watching.